me set my timer. Hello everyone, how was your break? You know the drill. Feel free to share reaction so I can see it on your videos. I have your beautiful faces next to me, Lucia and Ilyasar. And everyone else, please turn on your camera so I can see you. Okay, let's get started. Cool. Hi, Arkar. Okay, welcome to GT Network Management, Culture Shaping and Performance Management session. We've already gone through performance management session, OGX and ICX separated. So this is going to be a bit different because it's about culture shaping, which is one of the favorite topics that I like to deliver in ICX because I care a lot about culture. So yeah, you know me, this is Fatih. And just a bit on the objective of the session. Today we're going to understand how to build culture in the new commission and more importantly, how to manage more commissions for the upcoming 3 months, because that might be challenging for most of us. Yeah, for the content is going to be divided into two parts mainly. The first part, which is culture planning for the new commission, like understanding like what kind of culture do you want to build for your new commission, and second, like how can culture be crucial for performance management and especially managing two commissions at the same time. Okay, a bit of expectation for this session. Based on the feedback from the performance management session, I would like you to prioritize process over outcome. Like go through the process, talk to your peers, ask questions, answer their questions, share. And the outcome, it's okay if you don't have it like fully, the answers, you don't have it fully, you can do it after the session. Second thing is understand the major points of the session and then ask yourself, how does this apply to my entity or how can I take it forward to my entity? Like you don't have to take the raw information, you can process it a bit. And then finally, please write your Zoom name with your name, position, and entity so it can be easier for us to manage delegates in Zoom. And mute yourself if you're not speaking so we don't bother the other delegates' experience. Amazing. Starting with the first part, which is culture planning for the new commission. I would like you to reflect a bit on the past and the present with how was the culture with the current commission that you are managing. So first, I would just like to ask you a quick question. What's your definition of culture? Maybe you can drop in the box, in the chat box, or just unmute yourself and share like for, I don't know, 1 minute. I will read the chat and then you can also share on your mic. How do you define culture for you?
So I'd like to share.
Mhm.
I think culture for me means the habits and the traditions that exist in a team, and the feelings they have towards those habits.
Okay, habits, traditions, and the feeling towards habits. Amazing. Thank you so much, Eliazar. Arkar, how we usually behave in the team. Okay, any set of behavior has been formed by generation to generation. Okay, right. Anyone else? One last sharing. So the major points mentioned are basically behaviors and routines, or let's say traditions, as Eliazar named it. One more sharing. Anyone else? Sharing three, sharing two, sharing one. No one. Okay, cool. The second question. Okay, we have something in the chat. After I close the chat. Okay, Winnie, the behaviors and routines in your team. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. It recaps the sharing of the three people. Then the second question I have for you is, now that you define it, like you know what is the definition of culture for you, now what's your commission's culture? Like, how would you describe the commission culture? Yeah, we can have 2 minutes, 1 minute you can think, and then 1 minute we can have some sharings as well. Maybe different people this time, so we can have different perspectives. We can start sharing. Emmy, supportive, collaborative, informative, optimistic, amazing. Emmy, can you help me change your Zoom name with entity as well? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Two more sharings. Alvin, markets. Can you elaborate more, Alvin?
Yes. I think based on for organizational culture, I could say that we have clan, autocracy, hierarchy, and market. And one of my commission culture was market.
Okay, okay, understand what you mean. Amazing. Our car GD based culture. Okay, okay, fair enough. Like I see different, okay, very different types of cultures. Bottom up, agile. Sorry. Thank you so much for your sharings. Amazing. Now, the question that I have for you is what are you doing in culture shaping? Like, what are the actions or the activities, I don't know, or the initiative? Okay, Ilyas, fun, empowering, getting things done on time. Amazing. So, like, what are the things that you have been doing to build this culture or to maintain this culture in your commission? Same, let's take 1 minute thinking time if you want, and then you can start sharing whenever you're ready. Consist, consistent mention about that through action. Thank you, Emmy. Arkar, I'm not that focused on this part. Thank you for your honesty. Maybe one more or two sharings. Ilyasar, I have regular one-to-ones and 1-2 commission calls per month to keep them engaged and influence them. Amazing. Consistent routine, GCPs, BCPs, sharing and making spaces to collaborate. Thank you, Winnie. Okay, thank you guys so much for your sharings. So you can see like how the logic of the question went. First, I asked you what is your definition of culture, which is supposedly your ideal state. Then how do you describe your commission culture, which is what is the reality check so far? And then what are you doing is like what is your contribution as MCVP to influence the culture in your commission? So yeah, the next thing I want to ask you is what's the gap you see from where you want to be? Because earlier when I asked you to describe your commission culture, most of it was either objective or let's say a bit positive, like I saw collaborative, and those are very good behaviors. So I would like to ask you now, what is the gap from where you want your culture, your commission culture to be? And that culture to creating being together, how to create routines and being consistent through various channels. Amazing. So yeah, Angad, maybe you want to share first. What is the gap from the ideal state that you want to see in your commission?
All right. So one gap which I see in my commission currently is basically we need to have more co-creational spaces, right? We were having those in our commission calls and in our various other routines which we were having. But one thing we are also working on is how they can constantly share the GCPs and all. So that is also one thing which is happening. But one thing which is not happening is helping, like not helping, but evaluating like where we are getting wrong right now, and how we can focus on like the bigger picture of the department or the commission. So that is one place where we need to improve on as a commission whole. So I think which will happen in next new commission, because they will be more not more resistant towards some little changes or something like that.
Amazing. I like a point that you mentioned, which is the big picture, which is something we're gonna discuss in a little while. Okay, our car, we are engaged in terms of ISEC, but not personally. Okay, thank you again for you. I like the sharings of our car. The like, it reflects a lot of challenges that I faced in the past, and I learned from them. So thank you for sharing. Okay, okay, I have one more. Okay, Eliazar, there is resistance to change old ways of doing things in my commission. Takes an effort to make them buy new strategies and initiatives. I like innovating, and I think I surprise them with new ideas a lot. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your sharing. Let's see how that goes. So yeah, the second part of the second chapter of the first part is planning for the future. So I think all of you, most of you, if not all of you, heard this saying. So I don't want to go there again. You're gonna be like, duh, culture is strategy for breakfast. So I just want to illustrate with this graph for you to create that image in your mind, like how does culture drive strategy and how does strategy guide culture? Like To break it down more, we're going to use the cultural web of Johnson and Scholes to plan the culture of the next generation. So before we go into that, into culture planning, I want to ask you the thing that Angad mentioned. What is the big picture guiding GT in your entity? Because that should be the source of the culture that you create for your entity, right? So yeah, I want you to take a couple seconds, like 30, 40 seconds to think, and maybe write me in the chat, yeah, what is the big picture guiding GT in your entity? Anyone ready to share? Okay, Arkar, shaping the professional working environment within ISEC and benefiting local companies from our interns. Amazing. That's the big picture of IGT Myanmar. Mm.
Like I can share for India also. One thing is what we are doing is we have created a roadmap for aligning with the bigger picture. And once we have created that roadmap, we are following that direction. We have created the roadmap here with the current commission. Now we will be revisiting the roadmap with the new commission. We're sitting with them and we'll see if we are going in the right direction or not. And I think that is the big picture we are working on right now.
Can you give me just a bit more, like, not detail, like description on the roadmap? Like, what is the main points or the main direction?
Yeah, the main direction in terms of where we are going in clients, IR, and in the commission routines and commission management.
Mhm.
So if we are working on those lines, which is like a daily routines for the commission head and also VPs, that will give a bigger picture how it should look like in next 3 years with all the current commission in place.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Okay, a bit sharing from my side. Like when I ask myself, like what is the big picture that I want to see in AP, GTA, and GTE? Like I ask myself some of these questions. Like a lot of these questions are the fruit of conversations with Connie, Filiasni, and Serafina in transition and product meetings. So some of the questions that I would like to ask you is, do we empower our LCs to test different initiatives and report ROI? Like you said a lot about the LCs. How would you like to see them? And then would incoming EPs, this is for ICX, would incoming EPs acknowledge receiving adequate support, for example, virtual lead sessions in the current context that we are living in? And do members focus on building relation with the customer and customize support based on their behavior, for example? And then do we recommend to partners use talent trends happening regionally and globally? Like you saw the session from Connie, do you have these kind of conversations with your partners? And then do we offer alignment spaces between partners and EPs to facilitate the leadership journey for the youth? And finally, for both OGX and ICX compared to competitors, how do we look like for customers? Like how do they perceive us compared to our competitors? So yes, GTA and GTE are opportunities that can be the first step in someone's career. Like they can be the trigger to boost their career opportunities. So I would like to ask you, like, do we have the culture that supports that responsibility and the promise that we give to our customers? So with this question that I'm asking you, yes, I would like to ask you, what is the kind of culture that needs to drive this direction or this big picture? And for that, I'll come back to this cultural web. I'll come back to this cultural, sorry. Yeah, I'll come back to the cultural web to explain a bit what does it mean. So the cultural web basically explains what are the elements that make a culture, the elements that culture includes and that contains. So first, I would like to start with stories. Stories, basically, most of the time when we hear stories, you think of the past, right? You think of, for example, GT and GE history in your entity, and how does it come down to be GTA and GTE today? Or you think about like, how did the product start? What are the struggles that they faced or the wins that they had? But then stories can also be, what are the kind of stories we are writing in the present? Like, what is the kind of connection you have with your commission? Like Arkar said, like, we prioritize professional over personal. So these are the kind of stories that make culture. What kind of stories are you creating with your commission? Then symbols. Symbols are simply visualization. How much visuals do you have with your commission? Like, do you have, for example, your commission logo? As simple as that. Like, how do you visualize some behaviors? What do they mean in reality? And then there is ritual and routines that most of you mentioned earlier in your sharing. Like, what kind of routines do you have, and how do those routines contribute to like enforcing the behaviors that you're trying to create in your commission? Then there is power structures. Power structure simply means, how do you influence? Like, what is the flow that takes you, or the effort that takes you to influence something in your structure? Someone earlier said, like, how do I get them to buy in for the strategies? So this is what power structures means basically. And then there is organizational structure. Organizational structure means, like, what is the kind of relationship that you have with your commission, and what is the contribution of each position to the big picture? Then finally, there is control. Like, what are the control systems that you have? For example, performance management systems, your trackers, I don't know, something that you keep track and keep accountable with the commission. So these are the 6 elements of the cultural web of Johnson and Scholes. I would like to ask you, before moving on, do you have any question regarding this? All clear. Oh, okay. All clear, all clear. Thank you. People who answered. Then moving on into the next part. Sorry. I want you to ask yourselves these 3 questions. So out of the 6, okay, out of the 6, elements that I showed you that make like culture, what is the element that you are best in? Okay, and what is element that you are worst in? Yeah, just be a bit self-aware, okay? And then, because you're gonna go into breakout rooms, there are gonna be around 2-3 people. I want you to take these 10 minutes to discuss this. Like, don't try to, draw and make the elements now. You can do this later, but I want you to prioritize the process. Remember, have conversation and understand which elements you're really strong at that you can share with your peers, and which elements you think you can still improve, that you can learn from your peers, and then have the conversation. Okay, now you're gonna go into breakout rooms, and yeah, take 10 minutes. Yes, take these 10 minutes to have real conversations, okay? Confront the reality and have a lot of learnings. Okay, I will send a picture of the slide elements in the group. Cool. See you guys in a few.